Good morning. Happy baseball morning. It's January. There's no baseball. This is from 50 years ago. Baseball Digest. Just flipping through, perusing, found this little article. Baseball bats have been doctored since history. And then we're just outing people. You do guys know who Joe Hauser is? Joe Hauser, when he was 25 years old or something in 1924, he hit 27 home runs. There was only one man that hit more home runs than that. Babe Ruth. Then he hurts his kneecap. He can't play anymore. He's down in the minors. Once he's healthy, he can't get an MLB job. He goes and plays for the Baltimore Orioles, which were a minor league team at that time, and he hits 63 home runs. Then he hits 30 or 40 the next year, and then they say, hey, this is pretty good, and they sell him to Milwaukee, where he hits 40-something home runs, and then he hits 69 home runs in his 34-year-old season, which is crazy. Now, the dimensions of Oriole Park in 1930, if you're finding the lines, you're finding home runs, which he was for sure. But then a guy named George Bratt, not Brett, George Bratt, who was a scout and a coach and a former semi-pro player, he says, I know how Joe Hauser hit them home runs. I was his bat surgeon. So he says, I corked his bat. That's why he hit so many home runs in the minor leagues. It was I who did it. He said, I know what happened with Hauser the year he hit 63 home runs in Baltimore because I did it. Then I even shipped doctored bats to him when he hit 69 homers in Minneapolis 2 years later. And he said Jack Dunn is the one that taught him how to doctor bats, who's one of the greatest Orioles managers they ever had up until 1974. So we're just doctoring bats. Also goes on to say in this article that in Baltimore in this time, they would also freeze baseballs. They said there was a home run hitting competition. Most people call it a home run derby between the Yankees and Baltimore in an exhibition game. Before the game, to entertain the crowds, they would have like two players from each team compete in a home run derby. Entertaining. It was an entertainment thing. The fans like to be entertained. That'd be fun. I'd tune in for that. Give me that in spring training right now. Anyway, Mickey Mantle and Bill Skowron hardly reached the outfield in this home run derby because the Orioles coaches, Luman Harris and Harry the Cat Breacham, were serving up baseballs to the Yankees that had been kept in the freezer. Rude. As also goes on to say, there was also a case in the International League when the Orioles were trying to sell a pitcher to the major leagues. Scouts were in Baltimore to see the game and pass judgment. The Orioles wanted to make the sale. Baseballs that time were kept on ice, and the game resulted in a shutout because they wanted their pitcher to look better. So just dirty tricks. Baltimore just was up to no good all the time. And Baltimore only, no other team. I made that up. Probably all the other teams. So there's some news from 50 years ago. 50 years ago, this was written about 80 years ago. No, they're talking about the 1920s. So this was written 50 years ago, and they're talking about 100 years ago. And that was baseball in the morning.